was a bar next to the set, so I was there most of the time.
There was a bar on set.
Did you do karaoke by yourself or something?
Yeah, I did karaoke.
And I have
Okay.
I have a video of that. We have to show people.
We'll drop it in
It's so and I basically I'm looking for Bo. I acted. I'm also AD. I got to find the actors to get on set. Bo, where are you? He is in a, and when I say empty, I didn't see a bartender.
I don't even think the bartender was there.
No one is in there. Not a single person, but Bo singing karaoke with himself.
So, you having fun yet?
Welcome to episode 8 of the Late Game Podcast. I'm co-creator, actor, and producer Jeffrey M. Zucker, along with my business partner and co-creator Jeff Tyner, who was the writer, director, and editor of the Late Game.
Hello, baby boy.
Howdy, partner. Looking forward to catching up a little bit and to the week ahead. And for our listeners, we took about a week off, and so we're kind of wrapping up kind of 2 weeks of our beer league history here. And last week, I was out of town and missed the Monday Bear Seals game. For me, my beer league memory doesn't last very long, but if your beer league memory lasts long enough, how did it go?
I can only remember this because I didn't play in our game last night, so I have a singular Bear Seals game to pull from. We won, and it was against a team that Bo knows really well. Bo Skaggs, Bear Seals Bo. So led to a very chill, nothing even close to a dust up. It was almost like pickup in a way. I think 5-4 win, so that was fun. And just a chill time. I think was that a late one? A 10:30? Am I wrong?
Yeah, that was a 10:30. I remember that much. And yeah, I think it's always good to play against like good dudes where somebody knows somebody and it's just chill, especially when it's a late game, if you will.
100%. Yeah, no, it was a good vibe, but also didn't keep it from being competitive either. Like, it was a really fun back and forth game too. Phenomenal goaltending performance as well. And we slacked off a little bit in the third, and he kept us from losing.
You got to appreciate a goalie that stands up when you need him to. And I was sad to miss it. And the Bear Seals continued their streak of 1-goal wins apparently this week. I also missed this week as I was at a concert, and you tweaked your shoulder a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like we were short guys too, so I probably could have toughed it out, but with Toronto on the horizon, I wanted to give myself the best shot to heal up some. Shoulder's a little sore, slipped out. I have separated and dislocated both of them a few times, so kind of just the one wrong move can give me the old man pain. Yeah,
no, I get it. And, for reference, I was seeing Hot Mulligan last night. There were a lot of hockey fans there, people wearing hockey jerseys and stuff. It was interesting. And I posted from our story that one of the audio engineers had on the Stars Knights game, which was really nice to be able to see most of until he eventually turned it off. And then, sad about your shoulder, but I'm excited that you're resting it up for Toronto. We're going this weekend for our annual trip there to the Baycrest Pro-Am for Alzheimer's. This is, I think, like our 8th time going. Something
pretty crazy. I'm super stoked for it.
COVID killed a couple of years, but
was 2014?
Yeah, I think 2014 was the first one, and then we lost a couple to COVID.
Yeah, no, it's always a blast.
But otherwise, we've been going every year. It is an awesome tournament. Each team gets to draft a former NHL player to be on their team, and you get to fund Alzheimer's research. They raise quite a bit of money, and it takes place at the amazing Scotiabank Pond in Toronto. So excited to get over there.
Looking forward to it, and it's usually just the two of us. We've had a couple of companions over the years, but we got the Late Game Zone Sean Shapiro joining us, and to certify that we'll have good goaltending, which is not always the case.
Yeah, it's awesome that Sean's going to be with us. We've had some suspect goaltending in past years, as our original goalie Andrew Campoli has gotten really busy as the head coach of the Collingwood Blues, who just won their second straight championship.
What a rock star, in the net and behind the bench.
Yeah, I love it. So that should be a fun trip. We will try to update on it next time we talk on one of these things. And again, sad to miss the Bear Seals game. Glad they won despite the short bench. And additionally, pretty pumped to announce that we're now part of the Hockey Podcast Network.
Very exciting stuff. Makes us feel pretty legitimate, I feel like.
Yeah, it definitely makes us feel legit. We really appreciate the folks over there, Dylan and Kyle, that got us on board. Really excited to have a community to share our show with, and to help each other promote and things like that. So the hockey community is one that always comes together in a nice way, and so it'll be cool to have that on the podcast side.
Also under the same umbrella as our friends from Beers on the Lot. So on the same squad
from
now.
Beers as well as Cross Ice Pass, where we were on.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! Look at that.
Yep. So yeah, already making connections in the network. And, one thing we forgot to do last time we recorded was to talk about what we're watching. And given that this podcast originated with a film, we should keep that up.
Yeah, no, I'd love to chat, gab about what we're watching. What are you on right now?
Yeah, I mean, as I've mentioned in the past, struggling to find the time, but I really want to rewatch Severance before season 2 comes out. So when that date gets announced, I know that's what I'm on. I think I talked a little bit about that creepy Nickelodeon one, Quiet on Set, last time. So the one that I've been trying to make time for right now, I think I'm only like 1 or 2 into the 5 that recently came out, is Invincible, animated, superhero cartoon that is, serious and awesome, really well animated, and just, I think it's one of the best animated shows that I've ever seen.
That's cool to hear. I'll have to hop on. I've heard very good things about both of those. I'm a big Fallout fan. I've played the games for going back to about 2009, 2010. Fallout 3 was my first game. But yeah, I finally got around to, gave it a week, to the Amazon Fallout series, and it was a absolute blast. It's like the only time I liked The Last of Us as a game before that show came out, but I wasn't like a hardcore fan of that. So the Fallout show really scratched a lot of itches, even if it didn't have Walton Goggins, which he was just gold in every one of his scenes. That was a blast. Watched another couple of movies. I watched it's Please Don't Destroy. I'm not gonna lie, I think it's a pretty bad title, but it's Please Don't Destroy, The Treasure of Foggy Mountain. So I think it's almost like they're trying to stick to their brand from SNL, I guess. So my guess is people like cruising an app, that's the Please Don't Destroy. I'm sure that's like a producer's note to include that or something, is what it feels like. But yeah, it's kind of, I think the first thing you notice from the trailer is it feels like Without a Paddle. You remember that movie? 3 friends off into the Pacific Northwest to look for a treasure. But I just love those 3 guys' sense of humor. I think 2 of them are supposedly like Nepo babies. And I think that, that might matter to get you the chance, that first chance. But I feel like if you've got the goods, you either have them or you don't, and I think those dudes are so fucking funny. I think they've really, back when Andy Samberg and Lonely Island did the digital shorts on SNL, like, I think they are like a real successor to that. They're just goofy and great chemistry. So there's a lot of that. It's almost like starting with that Without a Paddle idea, and then they just make it really weird around the edges, which I think is kind of a fun way to approach. And, I just think it's an interesting time because you're not seeing a lot of, I don't know, comedies the way you used to, especially not theatrically, but even for a streamer, like that feels like a throwback comedy concept.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something we've lamented about with some of our friends, is just that comedies don't get the budgets they used to get. They don't get made as frequently as they used to. And there's, sort of, we're in between eras in a way. Like you kind of had, at least for the stuff we like, we had sort of like Sandler and crew from that SNL era for a while. And then we had kind of the Will Ferrell, Seth Rogen et al., for an era. And now there's not a lot of like flagship comedies being made or being spent on. And it can be frustrating, but it's also a huge opportunity to get new comedies out there. And so to see this one out there is interesting. And I'm curious to learn more about its backstory.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a real appetite for it. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure our movie was a comedy. Not going to put it up to the big dogs, so to speak, but we really did come up in the golden era for that. And like, I know we've both listened to it. Danny McBride was on, I think, Dak Shepard's podcast and mentioned that like when they did the movie This Is the End, like it was pretty metaphorical there of like, yeah, it might not exactly end there, but it was really the end of that era. And I think comedies like that are so good in the theater because of that communal laugh. But I also think people mostly only want to go to the movies for things that take advantage of like the big screen. Yeah, just I think comedies and just a lot of mid-budget movies are getting lost in the shuffle. And it seems like the only things that make theatrical runs are huge budget spectacles or little indies trying to make something. There's not that middle class of movies is kind of gone.
Yeah, agreed. I'm curious to see how that evolves over time, but I'm hoping as more thoughtful, efficient, and innovative comedies get created that we will see more of them out there.
Fingers crossed.
So on Fallout, your take is that they did a good job. It sounds like I feel like I've been hearing mixed reviews.
I feel like I saw that. I watched the honest trailer for it like 5 minutes before we started. And yeah, I guess some people, I don't know. I'm in the Fallout subreddits for the games, and I see pretty overwhelming praise from the real fans of it. I think they did, they made a few choices, I think, with the lore to fit their story, which I guess that might be something people have up in arms. But in terms of the environment, and they created a new story, it didn't like copy one of the games. It kind of was an amalgam of 3 or 4 of the main games. But I thought it was really good execution. It's by Jonathan Nolan, Chris Nolan's brother, and his wife Lisa Joy. They did Westworld, so I think like season 1 of Westworld is one of the best executed seasons of TV ever. And I like the following seasons too, but I know a lot of people don't. But in terms of, they really did a good job setting up. If you're fans of the game, you like have a pretty good idea of where season 2 is going to go. But no, it was a blast. I give it a 10 out of 10. It was super fun.
Nice. Yeah, and it's good to hear that it seems like fans are generally that are into the game or into the show. It's always a good sign. And so for people that aren't familiar with the game like myself, how do you think that'll be received?
They do a good job spelling it out too. I started the pilot with Megan, but I kept giving her an out if she didn't want to hear my thoughts on like every little detail. So she lasted 1 episode. But in terms of them laying out the story, you don't have to know the games for sure. Like you'll have a lot of questions, like with the aesthetic, like why does it look like the 50s if it's the future and stuff like that. But beyond that, I think the story is really tight and the characters are so much fun, and they have some great actors in there too. John Daly, the comedian John Daly, is in like a small role as one of my favorites that popped up. But there's a lot of cool ones.
Very cool. Yeah, I definitely want to check that out at some point. So I will keep you posted. And on this episode, we're continuing with kind of the series of interviews that we recorded when we had a bunch of the guys here in Denver. This next one, last episode we did Taylor Rizzo, great interview. And now joining him at the interview table will be Bo Laughman, who he spends most of his time in the movie with on the bleachers as Hubee and Guy Fry. What was it like for you having Hubee and Guy Fry back together?
Dude, it was such a blast to be in the same room. I mean, it's always a blast to see Rizzo, but Bo is a guy that we have gotten glimpses of. We saw him for like an hour when we were doing ADR right before the movie was done. But he's just such a delight to see, and especially from my point of view, editing the movie. Like, I loved editing his scenes with Rizzo, and I would always be the most excited to look at the alts for those and stuff. So like we haven't really hung out with them, like we've gotten to see him a couple times, but I feel like this was the first time we really got to hang out with Bo since making the movie. And he's just a blast and he's so fucking funny. So no, this was such a good time.
Yeah, no, agreed. It was awesome having them, and excited to get this interview out there to you guys, and we hope you enjoy it. Bo,
Yo,
good to see you, man.
what's up,
He's
you
just
guys?
already blowing out the speakers.
Yeah, you're a little loud, but it's all right. How do we turn these headphones down?
How do we turn Bo down?
Yeah, they might need to do that. I do tend to run it up a bit. So.
Not too bad, but pumped to have you here in Denver to
man.
join us for the late game watch
I'm
party.
glad to be here, man. I'm excited.
You haven't watched the movie yet.
I have not watched the movie yet. No.
Out of hate, because he hates us.
No. When it was available on streaming, I was thinking about buying it. And y'all had talked about doing screenings in LA, and I didn't know I was going to be coming out here to Denver, so I was just like, I'd rather watch it with a group of friends, and even better so with a group of the people that we made the movie with. So I'm excited. So, yeah. So tomorrow will be a good day.
Awesome,
I'm excited for him.
Yeah.
I'm pumped for you to see it.
But that being said, I mean, me and Taylor watched good chunks of stuff in the early edits, so I've seen scenes mostly with me and Taylor and Brian, so I've seen a good amount of stuff, but not a full cut of the story in the movie, so yeah, it'll be fun.
Well, you really bring Guy Fry to screen, or to life on screen, so we really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Hilarious man, fun to work with.
No, it was a fun time.
So, Rizzo kind of told us previously, and
well, he's a liar, so
right. Well, he mentioned, you guys met sort of on the comedy circuit, but let me hear that from your perspective, how you guys met, and then how you ultimately ended up working on the late game.
Well, Taylor was homeless under a bridge when I met him.
Yeah,
it was a nice bridge.
No, we met in stand-up, and
we met at the Comedy Store, right?
I believe so. Yeah, one of the open mics, and we were both doing stand-up. We're very close to the same age, so I think we moved out to LA essentially the same time. So we were both newbies there, fresh faces, and both were doing decent at stand-up. Had done stand-up already. It wasn't like we were going out there, completely trying it for the first time. Yeah. So, which makes it easier to make friends. Like trying stand-up for the first time in LA is tough, so I wouldn't recommend that to anybody.
don't do it.
So we met, and we had never really hung out that much, but we always ran into each other. And then at some point he wanted to do a podcast and was looking for somebody to produce it, and I weaseled my way into just being on the podcast. I was like, yeah, dude, I want to help. And then just was on the podcast, like first episode. And so, and then, that was in his closet in Hollywood. And I mean, like, when I say closet, like, our knees were touching. Like, we were.
It was a literal closet. There were hang bars for clothes above our head.
It was tiny. And I think we got some good episodes in there, but we didn't really get it rolling until we had the video aspect of it with Brian and everything. And that's kind of why I would say where Brian became the Sandy character, because we were shooting every week and everything. So, it was a natural progression, I guess.
So, okay, you kind of like weaseled your way into being friends with Rizzo, got on his podcast.
I mean, we were friends.
He had been stalking me for years before that.
Okay. Yeah. So you knew you guys were like best friends all along. Was there that moment where you're like, are we best friends like in Step Brothers?
Oh, it's hard to make friends in LA. Like even in the comedy scene, you see people and you hang out with people, but like to actually like become friends with somebody is a different thing. Yeah. So that happened over time. I mean, probably from the time that we first met to the time that we started the podcast was probably like 6 years or something like that.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah, it was a while. And when we started the podcast, we probably hadn't even seen each other in like 2 years or something like that.
Yeah, honestly.
So,
yeah, I was trying to think if there was like a time where we sort of went from being acquaintances who would see each other at stand-up to like being friends, and I think it was the podcast.
It had to have been, because we both didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know how to produce a podcast. I didn't know how to do the sound. I bought a bunch of the equipment, and we just like burned like 5 episodes. Like,
just trying.
The audio was just terrible, and we're like, we can't put this out. Like, it's so bad. But
I just want
we eventually figured it out.
From outside the closet, let's just you guys giggling and muffled from the other side of the door.
Oh yeah. That was my girlfriend's viewpoint of the podcast for a long time.
Yeah, a lot of giggling.
Giggles in the closet.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Well, I think our first episode with Brian was coming out of the closet. That's what we called it.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, so you were doing the podcast together. At what point did you hear about the late game? At what point did you hear you could be involved in it?
You know, we were doing the podcast, and I think Taylor reached out and said, I don't even know. Like, you were just like, hey, there might be something coming up if you're interested. There's going to be a table read in like it was pretty close to like table reads, right?
Yeah.
Like you had told me about like, hey, they're looking for a couple people. And yeah, I think it was like the table reads were, I think we got the sides like a week before. And I can't read, so
I'm just remembering. I don't know if it must have been your first table read, where like the thing that didn't translate, that it was so fucking funny was, you think you'll play that Albee, but like the way it was written, you're like, do you think you'll play Albee?
Yeah, dude. Like,
and that's what we had to come up with, you singing it to make it make sense.
Yeah,
man. Because which it's
way funnier.
And I never memorized my lines.
Oh, so
no, not once, not one time. Yeah,
like that's an improvement that was like needed too.
Yeah,
so that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. And yeah.
Wait. So we did.
I remember this table read in particular. I was literally driving from Colorado to South Carolina. I was in the car.
So that's what I was going to ask about. So
that was about a month before shooting.
Because we did a table read where I read as Hubee with
and I think
someone else.
Aaron.
Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron did Guy Fry.
And then it was the following table read when we added Bo and Brian.
Yeah, and Brian was on there
and
too.
Brian instantly like elevated things, but I just remember he had this great, like, we're just cracking the fuck up at all of his lines. He's like, I forget how he said it, but it's like, you guys, it's pretty cool that you guys think I'm so awesome being this guy that you hate.
Oh yeah, yeah, because he's like based off.
Like, kind of, not even really. Yeah. Like, he really made Sandy into a new thing, and really what you and Brian, this rift between Guy Fry and Sandy was nowhere in the script. Like, that was the three of y'all kind of getting together.
Well, because we actually do hate each other.
I think we did one or two scenes where like you all love each other because they talk about going. Yeah, you guys are going to ride together to Spartanburg to Super Shoney's. Yeah, and then all we did was just remove.
You had to get rid of
Bo
some of that
saying
stuff.
"Bye, Sandy." Yeah. It's like we just cut that part, so you were the only person who said "Bye, Sandy," and then I think everything else after that was like you guys had kind of worked on this little rift. And
that was a fun part of the puzzle, is like figuring out, like, because we had already shot one of those scenes.
I think it was the
three
lobby
of us.
scene. I think it was the lobby.
No. We had already shot the bench scene where Sandy comes out and asks us about a white jersey.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. And I think where the adversarial part was discovered was in that lobby scene.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, and I roomed with Brian in South Carolina while we were filming, and I got there 2 days before, and I'm just hanging out in the hotel room or whatever, and Brian gets there, and he walks in and he goes, dude, it's like 85 degrees in here. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of hot. It's an older hotel. He was like, did you call and ask? And I was like, no. They moved us immediately to like a cold room. I'm just going to live in that for a
Oh my God, that's amazing.
That was like the hottest time of the year too.
Oh my God, August and September, South Carolina. Like
we spent 2 weeks.
I just assumed it was. I was like, every room is like this, and it was not.
It's so sad. It makes me so sad for you.
No, it was fun. I was good.
Oh my God, that, and then when I had to call you an Uber from downtown
we don't need to talk
I remember
about
that. I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was having fun. I went on a ghost tour.
Did you really?
Yeah, I
That's
didn't pay
fun.
for it. I just shadowed,
kind of like joined it.
shadowed a ghost tour.
You just walked behind people going, ooh.
Well, so we had a day off, and it was me and like not a lot of cast. It was mostly crew, and we went out to a couple, bars and had a good time
downtown, right?
Yeah, and things got a little out of hand.
I remember that we went to Tattooed Moose on the day off. I know that at least that was lunch. I think, right?
Yeah, we went to, I don't remember.
Because shout out Tattooed Moose.
We went to Tattooed
so
Moose
good.
early, but all right, so Bo is out with everybody downtown.
Mm-hmm.
We are at Zucker's house.
Yeah.
The producer crew is hanging out.
And that's when Brian came in.
And so
right?
I
Yeah, so
left.
it was like my third day there or something.
Yeah, so I picked up Brian from the airport. We all go back to Zucker's house and hang out.
And I'm texting you like, oh, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
Because we had been day drinking. Like,
Yeah, all day.
I remember this.
Pretty
and then
much all day, yeah.
and so at some point that night, I get a text from Bo that's just like, "Where are you?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm obviously not downtown. I'm still. And so he's like, I can't find anybody. And I'm like,
It's the ghost
where
tour,
did you
man.
how did
got
you
lost
how
with
did you
the
get
ghost.
separated?
Yeah.
How did you and he goes, I can't get an Uber. I keep getting an Uber and they cancel it. And so I'm like, where are you right now? He's like, I'm in the middle of King Street. In the middle of the street. And so
Yeah, maybe.
but like but you were trying to wave down what you thought was an Uber.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I got his location and I called him an Uber, and me and Brian I call Bo and I go, all right, there's an Uber on the way. You have to stay exactly where you are. I'm gonna stay on the phone until you get in the car. He gets in the car. I feel like a proud mom.
Yeah.
And I track him all the way. Me and Brian watch. Drive all the way from downtown Charleston into North Charleston and get to the hotel. And then I call you, and Bo is not there. Bo is it's a different person that I'm talking to. And Bo picks up the phone.
It's debatable,
Bo
but
picks
possible.
up the phone. And he goes, I made it home. And I go, dude, Brian's here. He's going to be there in a little bit. He goes, tell him I'm going to suck his dick. And then he just hangs up. And that was the last I heard.
I might have said that.
That was the last I heard of Bo that night.
Sounds like something I might
There was
have
no
said.
physical altercation between you two, from what I understand.
I was probably passed out by the time. But
100%.
I would have.
100%.
Well, Brian, my first thing I hear from him, like establishing that like he's gonna make me laugh 500 more times, was we're in Zucker's childhood home, like he's roaming around the living room. He just goes, "Oh man, this Garth Brooks poster rips!" But like 100% sincere.
Oh yeah.
And
Sincere
He
guy.
made me take a picture of him next to it.
this is so fucking funny. Oh man.
So that was the day off. That was the day Brian got there. And before we dig a little more into your time on set, did you have any hockey experience of any type in your life? Like, did you have any?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I played roller hockey at a very young age, like YMCA days where you play every sport, kind of like I didn't play baseball past that, didn't play hockey past that. So I did that. We had in Texas, there's not a ton of ice hockey. Like
It has grown tremendously
I have
there.
two buddies that were on like travel ice hockey teams, but like we had a roller rink that they would have like skate night for the preteens every Friday.
And where in
night.
Texas were you?
I was in the Woodlands, which is north of Houston, just a suburb north
Got
of
it.
Houston. So
Did you ever go to a Houston Aeros game?
I've been to one Dallas Stars game as a kid.
Nice.
But yeah, like you beg your parents, like all the other, like you didn't want to have rollerblades, you wanted to have not ice, like not inline, but
Like
didn't
actual
roller
like hockey.
skates,
yeah,
yeah.
Mission.
Rollerblade-
They were
hockey
Mission
rollerblades,
brands
yeah.
hockey rollerblades, and like wore them for like maybe 3 months while while we went to skate night. So that was a waste. But yeah, no, that's about as much as I could skate backwards on rollerblades. That's about as
No
good
small
as I
feat.
got.
Did you get on
Yeah.
the ice at all in Charleston when we were shooting?
I did, but not on ice skates. I like had a stick out there and was like doing wrist shots and stuff, which I still remembered how to do to a degree, but I didn't put on ice skates or anything.
Well, I would have liked to have seen that maybe next
I
time.
kept saying I was going to do it, but then it was like, it was usually late when we were rapping.
You saw how good Brian was, and you were
God,
intimidated.
Yeah.
he
Right.
was so funny on skate because he wanted to skate so bad, and he did not have the ability.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay. Like I can't do a hockey stop or anything, but I think I would have looked a little more coordinated than Brian.
Yeah, I certainly agree
But
with
I
that.
definitely would have fallen. So like that's the other thing. I was like, I don't need to like
Get
bang
hurt.
my elbow up or anything like that. But
Yeah,
it was
no.
fun doing some shots on the net and everything. That was
Nice.
cool.
Well, I appreciate you sharing those skills with us
Yeah.
on set. And, part of this podcast, Tyner and I have been learning about like other people's experience with the set and the late game, because like we were always, Rizzo as well, we're always like busy doing our own thing, and we kind of have our own story. So you came in, I think, a handful of days into shooting. I know we reached out and we're like, you want to come early?
Yeah.
And so, what was it like for you to like kind of get to set? Did you know like kind of what you were walking into?
No, I had no idea. And I remember flying out there and like had my lines printed and was like I didn't know what was going to get shot, what I should focus on
Neither
trying
did
to
we.
memorize, and I was I think I texted Taylor and he was like, "Yeah, we'll figure it out when you get here." And I was like, "Fuck it, we'll just." And then I ended up improvising or like getting the idea of what lines needed to be said, but not memorized.
Like what has to happen in the scene, you can do whatever you want because it was
not
that kind of set.
memorizing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times we were doing stuff that was completely off base.
I like letting you guys riff because honestly, like there might be a few takes where you're finding it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
then like
for sure.
that was my favorite thing editing too, is like watching you two kind of in real time, like this is okay, we figured it out for this one, and then going down that road. Like
Well,
that was some funny shit.
The first thing we shot was the night I got there, and I was tired, and we got there and we did the back and forth with me and you and RA when he was on the ice. That was the first thing that I shot.
And so we didn't even shoot.
We didn't even know what our
us.
characters
Well,
were.
we weren't even on camera,
I
so it
know.
was really like response to him. But I
Yeah.
think that
But we were
sort of
feeding him our lines
Yeah,
that
for
ended up
sure.
becoming the actual lines.
and that set the tone for kind of our dynamic of
Yeah.
like, I'm protective of you, and you're
Yeah.
like kind of the
Yeah.
guy behind me talking shit. And
Yeah.
so it's like there was a lot of like that we got from that, even though
yeah.
we weren't even on camera in this.
Yeah.
So that did help a
yeah,
lot.
that was fun.
So we didn't shoot y'all's
No,
sides of
we-
that.
Not till
only-
like the last day.
Yeah.
Second to last day.
Because we
I mean,
had to get RA in
yeah,
while
we
he
got
was
it. 'Cause
there.
I knew
Yeah.
those were separate. I think of the don't flatten my friend. Like I
Yeah,
know that
yeah.
was like we set that one up. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was. I mean, two different people in the Chicago screenings brought up Entourage lines to me.
Really? Okay,
which just
good.
like validated.
That makes me feel really
Rizzo
good.
and I were really dedicated to keep. And I'll tell you what, man.
I
When
completely
you
forgot about
tell
that.
RA that he can be Johnny Drama and he just goes with these fucking nerds,
Yeah.
that's like that one's batting 1,000.
That's one of
laughs.
Yeah.
my favorite lines in the entire movie.
I mean,
Rizzo can tell you, like, me and him, much to Finn's chagrin, like, really wanted to get some Entourage shit in there.
And because so
Because
when
you guys have y'all seen where you really riff on it.
we riffed on Entourage a lot, and none of that made it in.
Well, that's the other thing. It's been like 2 years. I'm not like
You don't
when
remember.
I see it, I don't remember what like because we did. Didn't y'all end up filming like 24
We had
hours?
33 hours of footage.
Like,
Yeah, we
there's
shot a
so much
lot.
Stuff that I'm gonna either be like, holy shit, I don't remember saying that, or holy shit, like that weird line made it into the movie.
Yeah,
in a good
yeah,
way.
I'm
Y'all,
sure.
y'all have the most fun outtakes of like breaking in a scene. Like y'all have the funnest ones for sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, there were a couple times where we couldn't get through stuff.
There were
and
some-
probably never made it.
some
to
lines that
being
were
said.
really, really hard. I mean, I know there's one that was an improv that we had to cut me out of and like
Yeah.
focus in on because I break pretty bad.
One that bummed me out was with Sandy and his egg salad sandwich is like we didn't think to do it until we were done with Brian's coverage of like he really leaned into how like hot the egg salad was in his car, and that I think that's the single thing that got you guys to break the absolute most, and none of it like I used the most tame take because it was
Yeah.
we did his first and
Yeah.
it was just like I got a egg salad sandwich like
That-
none of the
I
extra
have a steaming hot
Yeah.
boiling hot.
Why is it
on my
boiling?
dashboard or something. Yeah.
I remember those.
Dude.
And I remember when you were editing, like, damn, I missed those. But yeah, it was just wasn't on his coverage.
couldn't make it work. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
That
fuck.
scene was so hard to shoot.
That was
like,
yeah.
I got
That was
because
the
we
first scene I edited too, because it was just like I wanted to start with something fun, and you guys are just like I always perk up when it's a Hubie guy fry scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, it's and oh my, there's so many little things that I'm so excited for you to see in the movie.
That'll be fun.
like,
Tomorrow night, baby.
yeah, man.
I think Bo's performance is going to lend the most to repeated viewings because you do so much subtle shit that like your focus might be on like the camera's just drawing to Rizzo, but you do just things here and there, man. They're so fucking good, man. It's so if you can call Guy Fry understated, it really fucking
Yeah,
is, man. Like
yeah.
you do so much little shit that's so perfect.
Well, as an actor, that's how I approach the. No, I don't
You're a
know.
true thespian.
All right, I
No,
know
there was a bar next to the set, so I was there most of the time.
There was a bar on set.
Did you do
pretty much
karaoke
also.
by yourself or
Yeah,
something?
I did karaoke.
Oh,
with
and
people
I
and
have-
by myself.
Okay.
I have a video of that. We have to
I was
show
gonna say,
people.
we'll drop it in right
It's
there.
so, and I basically I'm looking for Bo. I acted. I'm also AD. I got to find the actors to
Yeah,
get
he-
on set.
he had to
Bo,
track
where
them
are
down.
you? He is in a. And when I say empty, I didn't see a
I
bartender.
don't even think the bartender
I-
was there.
no one is in there. Not a single person. But Bo singing karaoke
Yeah.
with himself.
That sounds
And
really fun.
It made
It was
me
fun.
so
Really
happy.
purely pure bliss.
Can we sing karaoke together sometime? Just
Oh,
me and you in a
absolutely.
room and that's
I'm
it?
down.
Yes.
In LA, they got the
Get some
single
duets.
room Korean
Ooh.
karaoke rooms, and we can do that.
And-
You gotta fly out and visit.
Down just for the karaoke.
That's right.
Well,
They
so-
have-
Speaking of your actors' roots, I know the discovery was made kind of on set that you would dress like John Goodman and Big Lebowski.
that was never the intention, but I've been told
No.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know who
I
made that connection.
I didn't even really realize it. And I want to say Brian told me.
I think it's the vest that
on
really
set,
brings
yeah,
it in.
yeah.
But like I gave you guys some pretty loose outlines for like what your wardrobe could
Yeah.
be. How did you settle on that? Because it's perfect. Your khakis
I
even have a
showed-
hole in them. By the
I
way.
showed
The
up-
vest.
Those are just his regular pants.
I showed
Yeah.
up with a duffel bag of like I have some weird clothes, and that it landed on that because we're gonna be on the rink the whole time. It's gotta be warm to a degree, and so it was just a shitty crew neck, not hoodie, but sweatshirt,
sweater.
and then the vest was just like
I like
definitely.
that.
I don't know. Was it you that approved it? Like who's approving
think you-
wardrobe?
Yeah, because we took it to
I
you.
would have. Okay,
Yeah.
if y'all did, I was
Yeah.
like, there were no notes. I can imagine. I was like, fuck yeah,
it
this
was
is perfect.
kind of it was the first thing I tried on, and you were like, "Yep, there we go,"
Yeah,
and that was
that's
it.
alright.
That was
Yeah.
pretty much it. I was not thinking John
Did
Goodman.
it keep you warm?
Yeah, for sure,
Fuck
for
yeah.
sure.
That's what I like to hear.
And even if I wasn't, I could put another shirt under
Yeah.
the sweatshirt. But no, I wore that outfit probably stunk by the end of it. But
I loved it though, man.
Should have smelled our gear.
Yeah, I'm sure.
yeah, that's a whole different thing. But yeah, no, it was an immediate approval by you, if if I recall correctly.
No brainer, easiest decision
Yeah.
I would have had to make for
Yeah.
sure.
And I remember yours had a logo on it, so we had to like.
I literally scraped it off with a knife.
There's
yeah,
a couple
yeah.
takes if you look real close where we still have the tape and it's come down so you can actually
Yeah.
see
Oh, really?
the gas
That's
tape.
so funny.
Just in a couple of shots.
Well, luckily I work for them now, so it's not a problem.
What was a day on set like for you on one of those like average days?
Average day, so usually, either I was going in early or Brian was going in early. Somebody would couple times both of us would get picked up, but y'all were really good about like not being like you got to be here all day.
Especially the stars like you and Brian.
Yeah,
like,
stars,
we're trying to give you
yeah.
guys a break.
Yeah, so it was like we wouldn't really be there until we were needed. The only time I stayed there longer would be like you might get used in a shot later, and it'd be like, oh well, the bar's right there.
Yeah.
So no, I remember a couple times I hung out late, but yeah, it'd be get there and be mic'd up and be working within an hour and a half or something like that. It was never like get here at 6 a.m. and then you don't work till noon, which is how it works a lot of the time. Like I had done extra work and background work or whatever. So your call time's 5 a.m. and they don't use you till 6 p.m. sometimes because they just have all these people and they'll pick and choose who they want to use or whatever. So it didn't feel like that at all. It was like, and the hotel was relatively close. So there'd be times where it's like, you got 3 hours. It's up to you if you want to go back or whatever. But I mean, we're always in our bleacher seats or in the lobby. That one scene. Remind me, is there anywhere else where?
You guys pop up in another lobby scene.
Oh,
just
yeah.
in the parking lot. The parking lot.
But generally,
for the
I
most
mean-
part, our marks are set.
Yeah.
We got tape where our feet got to be. We got our mini cooler between us, and
with beer in there.
and we're either standing up or sitting down, and so like, and we'd have the lines sitting there on the ground. Not that we're reading from them, but
Yeah, just to use.
be
Can
like,
refer.
okay, okay, that's what we're doing this scene, boom, and usually say none of those words.
The essence.
I remember you like kind of gave me like a rewritten version.
We
of one of
wrote
the
wrote one in the hallway to add on.
I can't remember what it was, but it was great. I know it made
We
it in.
needed to like connect something that wasn't connected yet, if I remember correctly. Something with
I'm pretty sure that's the one that I wrote on the back of the
back of the sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we like literally, I went and so I left the
That's
ice.
the only time we like rehearse lines.
Yeah,
together.
yeah, because I basically, you guys had to go back to the hotel to get something, and so I drove Bo and Brian to the hotel and back, and we basically rehearsed the scene there and back, and that was it.
And then me and you rehearsed it in the hallway, because Brian was doing something, some other shot, and we did that back and forth, and it had something to do with connecting something that hadn't been established officially yet or something. I forget.
I mean, there was always this like little stuff once we started focusing more on dialogue, like making sure everything that was said went along with the whole movie and all that. So
it hits me like listening. Like I remember all the stuff going on in the background, but Hubie Guy Fry scenes were definitely like my least involvement, at least post writing it. Like once we're on set. Yeah. So it's cool to hear some of this stuff that I might have been in the locker room with the Pie Guys while you were doing it or whatever. So yeah, it just gives me some new perspectives on what you guys were up to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we were sitting there. I mean, I drank more beer sitting in the bleachers than I think I've had in like.
Did you actually drink?
I drank
beer?
multiple beers.
Wow. Whoa. I don't think I knew that. I would have guessed we had a. I
didn't even think you drank beers.
I don't drink. It's I mean, I'm not like I can drink. I just choose not to. Yeah. But it was just, I don't know. I felt like we were just in the bleachers, and I was like, "Fuck
You're
it,
like,
let's
Hubie
just go."
drinks beers, so we're doing this.
Yeah, your character drank.
Yeah, he definitely drank.
I love that.
So
well, thank you.
For sure, it's just the only way to do it.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier, but we got there one day, and I just couldn't get through a line. I don't know what it was. We were shooting. I was trying to be professional and not drinking. I was like, I memorized my lines, but the words weren't coming out right. And Taylor just nudges me and hands me a beer. We knock it out the next scene.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
I got nervous.
Yeah, it's just about getting comfortable and because we got lucky that we got to shoot a scene basically without us being on camera and sort of like just getting used to the flow of things and like playing our characters and stuff like that. And so
because we had only been riffing before, and this was an actual like we got to knock this specific dialogue out, and it wasn't a ton of dialogue, but I was just like my lips were the words were moving, my brain wasn't connecting, and he was like, dude, just take a breath.
Yeah, it's fine.
Have this shitty. What were we even drinking? Miller Lights? Or?
They were Miller Lights because they were
I believe so.
pretty nondescript cans.
Yeah. So and we had koozies to hide them.
We was hiding them. The old Stingray koozie, which I still have.
I like it. Love the Stingray's nons. Go Rays.
Yours was from someone like my mom has a big thing of koozies by our pool, and it's from like someone local to St. George's wedding. It's like real tree camo.
It's so good.
Yeah,
I love
it. To the
shout
lore.
out to whoever that is. Yeah, and that's I made sure I picked out the specific real tree camo cooler that you guys would have too. And you guys, shout out to my late dad's truck. Like that was Guy Fry's truck in the world. Even though you guys had the thing where you're arguing about the hybrid. We built out a pretty good little world for you guys.
Yeah. Did that hybrid line, is it still in there?
I don't think it's in there. It was in that scene for the longest time.
Yeah, because then when you went to
walking down the stairs.
Yeah. And
because now it's
because it's the sound, which is what I want him to see so bad.
Yeah. My favorite part of the sound
excited for him to see that.
Was adding that. And then we also found like a theme song for the two of you when we cut to your scenes. I'm very pumped for you to hear that too.
Yeah, it's the jumps that were made from like the final cut to like actual final cut is it's crazy, man.
So shout out Monkeyland.
Yes.
Audio.
Oh yeah. Huge miracle makers, if
James
you will.
Parnell especially.
Love those guys, and we had a lot of fun on set. It was a great time. It was like a very we all had the days were going a certain way. Did you, once you left, like have any sort of post set blues?
I mean, yeah, we had so much fun, and going back to a regular job sucks. So, I mean, just I work on commercials mostly, and not to say that the people that I work with I don't like or anything, because I do, and I work with them often, but like a passion project is way different than an Amazon Prime commercial or whatever it is, a Toyota Corolla commercial. It's like, yeah, we're here to do the job, and we may have some fun along the way, but it's not the same as riffing together on a silly idea about whatever we came up with in that moment. Like you can't really beat that. So I mean, me and Taylor talked about it. Like, no, you immediately miss it, and you miss just the group of everybody, and like working long hours on something like that doesn't feel like it. Not that I struggled like y'all did, because y'all were really working from sun up to sundown. Like I was probably the longest day that I was even at the rink was probably 8 hours or something like that, so, and working for 3 or 4 of them or something. So, so I didn't put in the work in going from the job that I usually do to this. It was like, I'm treated really well. Everybody's like, you need anything, yeah. Being the talent side of things is definitely different and very nice.
Yeah. So you hope to be the talent again?
Yeah, man.
I mean, obviously, in anything we make, we want you to be the talent, but
Dude,
in life in general.
That. I already got a role in mind for the next thing.
But also, like, there's a sense of guilt when you're seeing everybody hustling around and doing stuff. Like, part of me is like, I'm glad I don't have to do that, and part of me is like, I should probably grab that light or whatever. Like I should probably assist with that. And like, because Taylor was doing everything. Like he'd go from all that shit and then have to go into a scene with me, and I'm like, and then doing post rap day meetings and everything, and I'm like, and we had talked about this before, but he just seemed as happy as ever. So I didn't feel bad for him because I knew he was in his element, so it all worked out. But no, I was able to relax and have fun and hopefully step up when the time was needed. But no, it was, just a fun time. And yes, to answer your very simple question, yes, I did have blues afterwards, and it was hard to go back home to regular life.
Kristen called it, a good way she put it was, she mentioned it was like summer camp.
Absolutely.
That's the perfect way to put it.
We were all pretty much staying in the same place or close by. We all got to go out and have the whole camaraderie and work together. Nobody seemed like, oh, this is a long day. Like any commercial set, it's like everybody collectively is like, fuck this, essentially, but we're getting paid for it, so whatever. And there was none of that,
Agreed.
So good times.
Yeah, well, I know you haven't seen it yet, but have you gotten any feedback from anyone that you know or don't know that has seen it?
Not from anybody that I don't know, but I had some friends in Austin that watched it and said that they all, I mean, I think it was like 3 to 5 people all watched together, and they said they had a fun time watching it and were sending me screenshot or just pictures of them watching it together, and it looked like they had a good time.
Nice.
So, but no, nobody that that I don't know or that's like reached out on Instagram or anything like that. But I kind of just
onslaught is coming.
I disappear into the character. They don't know it's me. So.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have a mullet anymore, so
That'll do it.
Unrecognizable.
Well, anything else about your late game experience that you want to share here?
Let's see. I mean, I can't thank you all enough. It was, so much fun. I really enjoyed being a part of it, and can't wait till the next project that y'all come up with. That'll be super fun, and we'll be fortunate if I get to be a part of that too. So
yeah, I mean, we'll let you audition.
Yeah. I'll read for it.
Yeah.
Over a Zoom.
Well, you're gonna have to send in a pre-taped recording.
Yes, please.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, appreciate you joining us, man. And
thanks, you guys.
Excited for you to watch the movie.
Yeah, man. Can't wait.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, you guys.